Forster with your update for our meeting of September 11th, 2012. 11-year anniversary of 9/11, and our board took a moment of silence to honor all of those people that were murdered on that day and what effectively was the start of our war on terror. So with that, we went into our agenda for the day. The Board of Supervisors talked about the Memorandum of Understanding between Amador County and the U.S. Forest Service. We had comments. Rick Hobson, our district ranger, was not able to make it this day. District ranger from Amador El Dorado District was not able to make it, but he's been working with John Hoffman, our county consultant, on this issue, on federal issues involved with Forest Service. We talked about the contract and a lot of discussion around cooperation, coordination. I was involved in the original construction of this document primarily at the end of the construction of it, but these discussions have been going on for 2 to 3 years with the U.S. Forest Service and Bureau of Land Management. Basically, RCRC and CSAC were looking for a way to get over the hurdles of always reaching loggerheads between counties and Forest Service and trying to get to a position that was not litigation. So more discussion, less litigation, that's always good, and trying to resolve issues. In our document on Tuesday of our meeting, coordination was inserted in some areas to accompany cooperation, and that remains to be seen whether Forest Service will accept all of that. Mr. Hobson appeared willing to have that coordination in there because the Federal Land Planning and Management Act still includes coordination, somewhat weakened from what it was before, but it still includes it in the document. So we will continue to work with the Forest Service and hopefully adopt that document down the road. Next up, we had another issue with the Forest Service. This involves trails that in the Secure Rural Schools money that our county gets, and this is money in lieu of timber harvest, because we're not doing much timber harvesting anymore because of the federal rules. Because of that, the Secure Rural Schools Act was developed. Title I, II, and III money. Title I money is split between schools and Public Works Department in our county. And then there's Title II and III. Title II is primarily money that goes to the Resource Advisory Committee. That meeting was taking place on Tuesday evening of this week, but Supervisor Plaz had suggested another trail be more fully developed by the Forest Service. Long story short, Forest Service said they could not do that because they have a sensitive species plant on that trailhead near the area where the traffic for off-road use is. So Mr. Hobson, the district ranger, indicated that if they abandon that trail, the thought of putting that new trail in place, he should be able to keep the off-road uses as is. That's the way the board ultimately took their position. Interesting to find out, though, that the U.S. Forest Service, in addition to the U.S. Wildlife Service and all the other agencies at the federal and state level that identify threatened, endangered species of plants and animals, that U.S. Forest Service has their own division that actually lists plants that aren't listed anyplace else. So this was something unusual to find out, something that we don't really appreciate because there's enough agencies out there listing, and boy, we could go on and on about that. But we'll go on and on with our meeting. Amador Fire Protection District, we had discussion on the recommendation from the Amador Fire Protection District Board of Directors, which is actually the Board of Supervisors, to contribute $256,000. And this is money that comes into our Prop 172, which is money that formerly went to just law enforcement. Now we're gradually getting into a position, I think 5-6 years down the road, if we keep sliding the money away from law enforcement, where it would be 50-50. This year we froze that money at the current level, but that $256,000 would come out of Prop 172 and be used to pay for new personnel hired to take the place of the Amador Plan. The Amador Plan, which started coincidentally in Amador County, unfortunately will end in Amador County because we cannot afford CAL FIRE services anymore. Supervisor Boitano indicated that 20 years ago it was about $145,000 to contract to staff 3 stations, Dewdrop, Sutter Hill, and River Pines in Amador County. Now we can't afford to staff 1 station in Amador County, so we're going our own way, and we'll have personnel in engineering, firefighters positions, and take up the slack on covering the needs of the county. The administrative issue also covered an issue with the California building codes, how they relate to our Amador County building codes. Ultimately, it will end up with a review of Chapter 15.04 by our Public Works Committee. And then we talked about a follow-up of the CUPA, Agricultural Hazardous Material Handler Survey. This will go back to each Board of Supervisors member, and they will take it to the public and say to our public, our constituents, look, you just need to call either Environmental Health or the Ag Department. It's usually a 1-page form that needs to be filled out, but it does need to be done because the state is starting to come down on us for not complying with the CUPA, or Certified Unified Program Agency rules. And with that, this is Supervisor Richard Forster, 223-6470. We're going to our Rome segment with Heather.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.